Ganesh and Manohar were having a similar clarification in relation to the absolute ideal. Offering sacrifice, others perform sacrifice by offering sacrifice itself in the fire of Brahman. In relation to that yajna, there is a clarification. Manohar, சொல்லுங்க உங்களோட clarification.
Verse 25 sir, last part.
Yes.
One reaches Brahman.
Yes.
By offering yajna into the fire of Brahman.
Yes.
The yajna here denotes என்னோட சந்தேகம் 2.1 the very action dedicated to a high ideal,
yes,
performed with the spirit of service and sacrifice, and
yes,
or letting go of the peace and prosperity gathered so far for the higher.
Yes.
சுருக்கமா சொல்லணும், the capacity to sacrifice தான் என்ன capacity?
Yes.
What is meant by the
capacity to
here?
Manohar's clarification is capacity to sacrifice. What does that capacity to sacrifice itself is? What does that capacity to sacrifice itself means? In the limited ideal, I'll explain.
Yes,
in the limited ideal, not self-realization. Limited ideal. Limited ideal means working for a higher cause. Whatever be your whatever be your vision of a higher cause, you work for that higher cause. When you are working for that higher cause, what is the formula that you have to adopt to achieve that ideal? You have an ideal, you have a goal, and you need a formula to achieve that goal. What is the formula to achieve that goal? That formula to achieve that goal is what is known as capacity to sacrifice. Yajna. Tyage naike amrutatva manushuhu. Kaivalya Upanishad. All attainments, either worldly or spiritual, is got only by performing sacrifices. Only by sacrifice, everything is attained. It may be spiritual or it may be worldly. It doesn't matter. Na karmanana prajayadanena tyage naike amrutatva manushuhu. Na karmanana prajayadanena tyage naike amrutatva manushuhu. Kaivalya Upanishad. Now, this capacity to perform sacrifice. Now, what is this capacity? Which is sacrificing itself. First thing, anything you want to achieve in life, the formula is success. The formula is sacrifice. Any achievement is possible only by performing sacrifice. One. Number two, this capacity to sacrifice is what distinguishes human being from the other species, the choice. See, in the case of the other species, this choice itself doesn't exist. They don't have this choice itself in the first place. So you can't say a mother zebra sacrificing for its little one. You can't say that. You can't say one animal sacrificing for the other animal. That choice doesn't exist at all. So in chapter 3 verse number 10, he said, this capacity to sacrifice is given to you on birth itself. At the time of creation itself, this capacity to perform sacrifice is given. Now, Creation, don't take it as the Big Bang creation and all. I said it. Creation means the moment you, the human being, Purusha, come into existence, that point of you come into existence itself, the capacity to perform sacrifice is given. What is this capacity to sacrifice means? You can let go. Capacity to sacrifice means the ability, the capacity to let go. Now, what you let go, we are going to discuss later. But there is the capacity to let go. This capacity to let go is what the sacrifice is all about. And the sacrifice is what gets you success and prosperity. Success, prosperity, mental peace, all this is because of this ability to, this capacity to perform sacrifice. When we say this capacity to perform sacrifice means if you have attained the success, prosperity and mental peace means you have utilized this capacity properly. If you have attained the prosperity, success, peace, it means you have utilized this capacity to sacrifice properly. If you are agitated, frustrated, it means you are not using this. It means you are not using this capacity at all. Now, in the spiritual, are you okay till now? Now, in the process of spiritual evolution, it's letting go. Letting go. You keep you let go. You let go. You let go. As you keep on giving up, what will be the last thing that you have to give up? The last thing that you have to give up for moksha is the capacity to sacrifice itself. That is what is a symbolic representation of you working for an absolute ideal. Yajna is symbolic. I told you this. Yajna is symbolic. When he says the capacity to perform sacrifice itself, when yajna itself is given up, creation can no longer be sustained. Are you able to follow? When yajna itself is given up, the capacity to when yajna itself is given up, creation can no longer be sustained. How creation no longer be sustained? If you are agitated, you are not following the principle of sacrifice. If you are peaceful, you are following the principle of sacrifice. So either way, creation means sukha and dukkha. Creation means, life means experiencing sukha and dukkha. This dukkha is because of not performing, not using this capacity. Sukha means using this capacity. You have used it properly. Are you able to follow? So, what is this capacity? The capacity to consciously let go. What other species does unconsciously, human being can do it consciously. This conscious let go is what sacrifice is all about. See, other species, they do it. They don't, that's why we don't say they are sacrificing at all, because they don't even have a choice. Like for example, if it is raining, they will stand in the rain. If it is sunshine, they will simply, and when they die, they just die. In the case of a human being, the capacity to sacrifice. Are you able to follow till now? So what he says is, the Creator created humanity with the power of yajna. He's saying it very clearly. He didn't say, I created all species with the capacity to perform yajna. He's not saying that. Are you able to follow? And the verse about Igmod, if you read, you will understand. That verse is not saying created humanity with the power of yajna. It means a unique ability. It means a unique capacity. And that unique ability, that unique capacity is what we call as yajna. Yeah, Manodar. Therefore, this is what capacity, this is what the capacity means. To put it very simply, a person has become rich, very wealthy. He doesn't become wealthy by winning a lottery, no. Sacrifices. What we call as hard work is nothing but what is hard in the work. It is a sacrifice that makes it hard. We say hard work. What is hard? What makes the work hard? It is the sacrifice that you have to perform. A person is well educated. It means that boy or girl has performed sacrifices, isn't it? The temptation is to indulge. The temptation is to hang around with the friends. The temptation is to watch the cricket match, football match, and the boy or girl has to sacrifice all this in order to. So any attainment is possible only because of sacrifice. The effort that goes into sacrifice is the same. Whether it is limited or absolute, it doesn't make a difference. The effort is the same. What he says is, since the effort is same, why put in so much effort for something that is limited? Why not use the same effort for the absolute? It is not that for attainment in the limited world, sacrifices are less. For attaining moksha, you need to do extra sacrifice. It is not that. The capacity to sacrifice. Seriya? Is it okay? Yeah. Ganesh.
So what do you mean by sacrificing yajna itself?
Yes.
What do you mean by sacrificing yajna itself?
Yes. Now what Ganesh is asking, what is sacrificing sacrifice itself? What is sacrificing sacrifice itself? Remember last session I said, imagine that you have reached that bar. Imagine that we are not discussing at the lower point of the bar. You have reached that height. Now you need to go to the other side. If you have to go to the other side, what do you need to let go? The bar that brought you to that height.
Pole
vault. That's what he is saying. Sacrifice itself. Meaning, you let go of everything, but you can't let go of that which has helped you, no. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa could let go of everything, but he couldn't let go of Kali. He couldn't let go of Kali because something that brought you to that height, you know how valuable it is. You know how worthy it is. You know that. And to let go of that is not easy. See, here we are talking in a very theoretical plane. Now you need to visualize a person have done so much of work and gotten to that height. And that person in that height, it is extremely challenging to let go. Two stumbling blocks you will have. One in the path. Two stumbling blocks you have. The two stumbling blocks that you have at the height is, I'm talking about the person who has gone to that height. Two stumbling blocks. One is the knowledge. Second is the guru, the God. It's not easy to It's not that easy to let go, because you know that it has been protecting you and sheltering you and brought you to that height. So there is a you can't here you shouldn't use the word attachment. There is an immense intense gratitude which will not allow you to let go. From the beginning, knowledge prepares you for that. From the beginning, knowledge prepares you for that by saying it is just the knowledge attachment. It says it's only the words. When you buy the book Vedanta Treatise, what are you buying? You are buying words. When you are listening in a classroom like this, what are you listening? The words, not wisdom. But then, without the words, you can't get to that wisdom. Therefore, what happens? A kind of gratitude develops. Don't use the word attachment here. It's not a petty attachment. Very difficult is to let go of the knowledge. Yeah. Raj, book kudukarade kashtam. Yeah. Forget about or book eduthu kudukarade kashtam. For it is knowledge. You give, it is giving up. How can you do that? One. Second is, the second impediment is, you can't call them as impediment, but you need to let go also. What is the second impediment? The second impediment is the Guru. The words gained meaning because of the words, the empty words gained meaning because of the Guru, and you need to let go of both. To a non-sadhak, to a very egoistic person, this will appeal very much in the beginning itself. To a very egoistic person, it will appeal very much in the beginning. Oh, I should not get attached to anything. I will do all the work by myself. A person who has worked hard in the path, he knows that more than his work, the divine grace. We don't call it as the divine grace, we call it as the grace of the Guru. Absolute ideal is that where you need to let go of that also. Are you able to follow? This is what you need to let go. This is what you need to let go. சரியா, Ganesh? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Now,
ability to perform sacrifice and ability to sacrifice rendu.
she's what Ranjani is asking is the capacity to perform sacrifice and actually sacrificing. We are talking about the capacity to perform. Second thing is actual
capacity to sacrifice.
Yes. Other thing is actual sacrificing.
Capacity to sacrifice is actual sacrifice.
What is the difference between the two? The difference between the two, it's like the potential energy and kinetic energy. And the Madrid. It's like the distinction between the potential energy and the kinetic energy. In the potential form, it is. In the potential form, it is. In the potential form, it is very high. The moment you bring it into the actual thing, it depends on so many other factors. Are you able to follow? So understand it like what is known as the potential energy and the kinetic energy. Potential means you have this capacity, you have this ability in you. Sacrificing means that capacity in you, you are bringing it into practice. When we talk about the practice, we don't talk about the practice that much. We talk about the capacity first, because very difficult is to gain this conviction that we have this capacity. Are you able to follow? So, capacity to perform sacrifice versus the actual sacrifice. There are two things.
Capacity to sacrifice the actual sacrifice. Capacity to sacrifice, capacity to perform sacrifice, you are using both.
I am saying capacity to sacrifice when you are sitting and actually doing that yajna. You are performing sacrifice. So, in the course of conversation, in a liberal way, we use it too differently. But you need to follow the concept. When I am speaking, I speak very liberally. I don't have a return text to speech and speak. I use words very liberally. You need to follow the concept. Capacity to sacrifice, and then I say capacity to perform sacrifice means one is the potential, another is you are actually sacrificing. Are you able to follow? Ganesh, Seriya? Yes. Capacity to study versus actually sitting and studying. Capacity to exercise versus actually exercising. Are they the same or are they different? Are you able to follow? Capacity to run. You have a capacity to run. Abdinada, the fellow will start even crawling. Are you able to follow? You have a capacity to run, the fellow will start crawling. Therefore, from that angle, capacity to perform, capacity to sacrifice. Then comes the actual sacrificing. Yeah, inga capacity in patient there come abdina. Understand it. Ideals we are talking. Third chapter, Yajna 3, 4, 5 lendalna, the actual doing part we are going to discuss. We are still discussing we have not yet come to the doing part. We are still discussing the setting the ideal part. Here, when we are discussing the setting the ideal part, we have to use the word capacity only. Ganesh, okay, va?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes. Now Rajaram's clarification is: does it mean you let go of your individuality? Does it mean you let go of your individuality? Oh, it is not that much of letting go of the individuality. It is asserting I am that. It is not in when it comes to the absolute ideal, it is that much letting go of the individuality. Even though we say let go of the individuality and all that, we talk that language at a lower level. Yes, at that height, it is not about letting go of the individuality. It is asserting the reality. I'll explain that. I'll explain what it is, because that's what Subramaniam is also asked. One can sacrifice only if he has this aham and mama, I and mine, this ahankara and mamakara. For a jnani, what is there to sacrifice? What is a jnani sacrificing? Now, the ignorance has shades. The ignorance has shades and grows like that also. Right through, the person uses this aham, I. So what comes first is this aham, I. And this I has very many modifications. What is the very many modifications? Aham sharira, aham karta, aham bhokta, aham jnata. I am able to follow? First says aham. This aham has very many places to hold on to. At one stage we'll say I am the body, sharira, and then we say I am the karta, I am the doer, and then it says I am aham bhokta, I am the enjoyer, and then you say aham jnata, I am the knower. But then the I is identified with very many. The I is identified with very many. Now, what does the jnani does? The jnani let go of the let go of the very I itself. How does he let go of that very I? How does he let go of the very I? He lets go of the very I by constantly reminding that which enlivens the sharira is that which enlivens the sharira too. The room space, the living room space, the bedroom space, the puja room space, the pots. But in and through all this, what is reminded?
Space.
That space. The gadgets are many, but in and through the gadgets, one gadget is trying to remember that I am enlivened by, though I have an individuality, like the bulb has its own individuality. The heater has its own individuality. The cooler has its own individuality. Let us say, what is the jnani cooler? Jnani cooler, that cooler understands that electricity that enlivens me is an electricity that enlivens the bulb, the heater. The crux here is, I am that enlivener. I am that enlivener. When I say I am that enlivener, two things comes. The moment I bring in I, the name and form. The moment the I comes, along with the I comes the name and the form. Here he lets go. He wants to know the I minus the name and form. That's what the jnani is all about. So, what is he letting go of? Rajaram. That's where the connection comes. What is he letting go of? The instrument is let go of. What is the instrument? The individuality. That individuality is given up, as it were. It is not giving up the individuality. It's not giving up the individuality because
When you become that.
it's not giving up the individuality because giving up implies you were possessing it once. Jnani says, I never had any connection with it from the beginning. ஆரம்பத்திலிருந்து எனக்கு அதுக்கு சம்பந்தம் இல்லை. So where is giving up? இதுதான் ஞானம். இதுதான் the height. He said, at one stage, I assume that there is a connection and then I give up that connection. It means connection becomes real and giving up is of an effort.
Correct.
In the height, in that height of growth, the person says, all along the connection that I was assuming is
Never there.
Wow, correct. Was never there. The connection illa. Imagination at mithya. That's where he calls it as. That's why he calls it as mithya. So he at one level we say he is letting go of the individuality, but then at the height he says it is not letting go of it. it is just, it is a recognition. What is the recognition? The recognition of what I call myself as a samsari. I was never a samsari. All along, I am a samsari. I am a person in bondage, and I have to
Let go.
let go. Are able to follow Subramaniam? In that, what the Jnani does, Jnani means a person who is working for the absolute ideal. What he says is, the samsaritvam itself is a superimposition. Just as the snake itself is a superimposition upon rope, for the snake never ever existed. This is what working for the absolute ideal means. He says it never ever, it didn't, it's not that it was existing and I am making an effort to leave. If it was existing, almost impossible to give it up. Because existing means it's real. No, how can you give up the real? Where can you drop the real? Where can you let go of the real? You can only let go of imagination. Carefully follow. If it is real, you can never let go, because how much ever you let go, it will still exist. Because it is real. If world is real, if samsaritvam is real, you can't let go of it, because how much ever you let go, it will be there. This is where Dvaita and Visishtadvaita and all, to some extent, they come and say all these three will exist eternally. இதெல்லாம் போகவே போகாது. டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்ன? பியூரிட்டியோட இருக்கும், அவ்வளவுதான். பர்மனன்ட் எல்லாம் போகாது இதெல்லாம். ஏன்னா it is real. When it is real, where can you, how can you let go of it? Are you able to follow? Here Vedanta, the Upanishads taking it to the height. In that height it says, please understand that existence of that itself
Was never there.
was never there. Was never there.
Was imagination.
It was existing only because of you imagining it. The samsaritvam, that I am bound. I am bound. What is samsaritvam? What is it? I am bound. One level is to say you are bound by raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes. You have to do a lot of effort to get out of it, and all is is all at one level of knowledge. At another level of knowledge, we says, if it were true in the beginning, when we say if it were true means, if bondage, if samsaritvam is real in the beginning, you can't
Drop it. Yes.
You can't drop it at all. So this dropping it and all doesn't exist. You can only make it, absolute dropping it and all doesn't exist. You can only make it refined, better, pure. Are you able to follow? You can make it refined, you can make it better, you can make it pure, but you can't let go of it because it is real, no. Then we have the difficulty of, if we take samsaritvam as real, then we have the difficulty of asking, how many realities are there? How many realities are there? The world is real, the individuality, you, the I is also real, and the God is also real. Abdina moon reality. They say, yes. What is your problem in accepting it? There are three realities. What is your problem in accepting it? There are these three. Are you able to follow? There are these three. He says, no. It doesn't seem to fit under. It doesn't seem to fit under the reasoning. it doesn't seem to fit under logic and reason. Therefore, though it appears to be real, it is not. Though it appears to be real, it is not absolutely real. It's relative reality. So the jnani, what he does, he wants to, he recognizes the relative reality. And what is this relative reality? Relative reality is that which is born of imagination. If we say it is relatively real, what is the source of that relative reality? From where it is born? Are you able to follow? What is the source of it? From where it is born? It's born of imagination. It's born of imagination. This is where he takes the discussion to a, he takes the entire discussion to a different level, where it is lot of, even to theoretically let go of என்ற ஒரு கெப்பாசிட்டியே வேணும் இது புரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு. Not actually letting go. Even to theoretically digest the fact that I need to let go of. Are you able to follow, Subramaniam?
So the understanding of ahamkara, mamakara,
Yes.
is an empirical misunderstanding.
It is an empirical misunderstanding. What Subramaniam asking is, this ahamkara and mamakara is arising out of the empirical misunderstanding. Yes, it is empirical misunderstanding.
So if you want to shift from this empirical misunderstanding, the only way is to understand this empirically wrong.
Correct. All of that. The only way to let go of it is the only way to let go of it is to understand that it is
Empirically wrong understanding.
It is empirically wrong understanding. Correct. That as an ideal is fixed in the beginning. That as a goal, that as an ideal is fixed. To do that is what yajna karma is all about in terms of the absolute ideal. Why it is easy for him is because he has already done the first yajna, no? He has already done the limited ideal to some extent. He has performed that ideal. Therefore, it will not be difficult for him to conceive of the absolute ideal and shift. That's what I said in the last class. Understand it as it's not like two choices. It's not like two choices. To some extent, the limited ideal is followed, mature, and he takes up to the he takes up to the absolute ideal. And in that absolute ideal, he understands what, that's why Vedanta says from the beginning, what you are seeking, you are that. You are not going to attain it. You are not going to attain it. For ahankara and mamakara, attainment is always motivating. For ahankara and mamakara, the attainment is always motivating. Recognizing means, for ahankara and mamakara, recognizing will not be appealing at all, because when you say recognize, it plays no role, no. Recognize this now. What is the role that ahankara and mamakara is going to play? But attainment, it has to.
It has role to play.
It has a lot of things to do. It has a lot of things to do. Are you able to follow? Attainment, it has a lot of things to do. It is very motivating. It is very inspiring and all that. Recognize, abdina, straight away it drops. Straight away it drops. Seriya?
Just to get my one more small point to get my clarity for myself.
Yes, chalunga.
From the standpoint of a jnani, he
Yes.
understands that I never had anything.
Yes.
I never had any aham or mahatmi. So what is
Yes.
there to sacrifice?
Sorry?
I never had anything at all.
Yes, I never had this aham and mama. Yes.
So what is there for me to sacrifice at all?
Correct.
So the standpoint completely gets shifted
Yes.
from the body
That is why,
complex
yes.
to the
Yes.
ultimate substance.
Since there was never this I and the mine and all that, this sacrifice comes only when the I and mine comes.
Right.
When the I and mine itself is not there, what is there to? What is there to sacrifice? So when he let go of I and mine, what he lets go of? Capacity to sacrifice also is let go of.
So
Because I
even-
and mine, I and the sacrifice is intricately connected to I and mine. So when I and mine is gone, what is that I and mine? What is there to sacrifice after that?
Who is there?
Therefore, he sacrifices. Therefore, beautifully he says, others perform sacrifice by offering sacrifice itself. Offering sacrifice by offering perform sacrifice by offering sacrifice itself is a recognition. A recognition. By that recognition, it goes away automatically. So, in all other yajnas, he lets go of something. In the absolute yajna, there is no letting go of anything. It is the recognition. That is why in the very first day when I started yajna karma, I said the difference between all other activities and yajna karma is not the unselfishness activity, the recognition of Ishvara, the recognition of the divine. Because more and more the divine is recognized, less and less the I and mine drops off. That's why it turns into an yajna karma only when the divine comes into play. That's why from the day one I said, from the day one to explain this point only, from the day one it is said that it is Ishvara through yajna karma. What is remembered is
Ishvara. Ishvara.
Ishvara, the supreme reality. Correct? Is it okay, Subramaniam?
Thank you.
Yeah. Narayanji is asking, the sun is sacrificing perpetually, but we don't see it sacrificing its capacity. Or if sun sacrifices itself of its nature of providing vital energy, the creation cell ceases to exist, which indeed never happens. Therefore, when creation doesn't give up sacrifice, the creation and sacrifice both shall be perpetual. Both shall be perpetual means both will exist eternally.
Correct.
Both will exist eternally, which is the state of self-realization. Correct, Narayanji? That's what you are saying.
That's all.
Yeah.
Whether what I've asked I put first or the second. Which is right?
Yes, which is correct. Yeah, correct. Which is right. Now, in any other things, when we say the sun is sacrificing perpetually, but we don't see it sacrificing its capacity. Now, we don't say, like, even though in a limited way we say the sun is sacrificing, the earth yields vegetation, the cloud gives rains and all that, we don't call it as performing sacrifice because the choice they don't have. The capacity is not there at all in them. The sun can never say, I can switch off for a day. No. Therefore, since the choice itself doesn't exist, we don't call them as performing sacrifice. If sun sacrifices itself, the creation shall cease to exist, which indeed never happens. Now, this is what it appears to be to a person who is in the world. A person who is caught up in this world, he says, this never happens. This never happens means creation can never go out of existence. That which is created is there. You can't use the word creation itself here. If something can't go out of existence, it means it is existing eternally. Logically, if we say creation means there was a time where it didn't exist. If something is existing forever, we can't say creation, because the word creation itself has no meaning there. But then in relation to the world, everything in relation to the world, we say it is created. Everything in relation to the world, we say it is created because it had a beginning. Maybe the time factor may be very long, but it had a beginning. Not only it had a beginning, that which has a beginning will necessarily have an end. So the birth of the sun, the death of the sun. Take it literally like the birth of the sun and the death of the sun. The birth of the sun, the death of the sun is equated to the birth of the snake and the death of the snake. The birth of the creation is equated to the birth of the snake. Death of the creation is equated to death of the snake. Till it dies, carefully follow, till it dies, there will be this cyclical process. The cyclical process of manifestation and unmanifestation. This birth and death means the birth of the snake and death of the snake. But then this between this birth and death, there is an existence. And this existence go through two modifications. This existence is of two. What are the two? This existence is of two. What is the two?
Appearance,
manifest and manifest. Vyaktam, avyaktam. Manifest and manifest. Just as the individual, the jiva, is manifest in the waking state and dream state, goes into unmanifest in the
deep sleep
state, but existence happens. You can't say that in the state of deep sleep, you went out of existence. So, the rope and snake talks about the birth and death. The rope and snake talks about the birth and death. The existence talks of this manifest and unmanifest talks about the nature of the existence. So, it comes into existence. When it comes into existence, it goes through these two. What are the two? Manifest and unmanifest. What we call as manifest and unmanifest, what in the Puranic language is called as pralaya, and opposite of pralaya is vibhava, I think. Pralaya means destruction. So it comes in a manifest, unmanifest. Manifest, unmanifest. This manifest and unmanifest implies an existence. And existence implies creation and destruction. Now, when we are talking about Brahman, when we are talking about consciousness, this is the logic. When you talk about Brahman, God has consciousness. This consciousness can never become unconscious. It is eternal. For what can make the conscious go unconscious? Or if consciousness can become unconscious, what can bring it back? Therefore, all these vikaras, all these modifications don't exist for the consciousness. And this consciousness is Brahman, God, and you are that. And you are that consciousness. This I, you can equate it to consciousness. Instead of equating the I to Karta, Bhokta, Jnata and all that, you can equate the I to Prajnanam, consciousness. Therefore, the first aphorism, Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. Therefore, what it means here, what it means here is, in the state of self-realization, creation and sacrifice will not be perpetual, will not be eternal. In the state of self-realization, a recognition that what is samsaritvam, what is bondage itself didn't
exist.
One thing is to say there is a problem and how to solve it. Another is to say there was no
Problem.
There was no problem in the first place. Are you able to follow? Two attitudes. One is to say that there is a problem and giving a solution to the problem. Another thing is to say problem itself
Never existed.
Never existed. That is what we call as working for an absolute ideal. Now, which itself is so convincing logically that it will drive you, it will create that motivation in you for liberation, because it is so logically explained. Seriya?
I'm okay.
Okay, Narayanji?
I'm okay.
Yeah. Empirical means that which is worldly. Empirical, Ranjani is asking what does this word empirical means. Empirical is a technical word. It's a very, just as, see, every field of activity, every activity has its own vocabulary, no? Even though we say English, legal English is different, medical English is different, because every system has its own vocabulary. Certain vocabulary for Vedanta is, we will not say terrestrial, worldly. Idalla is a very terrestrial, worldly and all is a layperson's way of saying it. Empirical is the technical way of saying it. Worldly.
So what was the question?
I'm only explaining what does the word empirical means.
Empirical related or something is
Empirical reality. Empirical reality means worldly. Snake has an empirical reality means that which is the pain is there, no? The pain is real. This pain is real. Is it absolutely real? You can't say that. Why? Because after 2 minutes the pain goes. There was no pain before, there is no pain after, but it existed in between. What would you call that which existing in between? The technical word. Are you able to follow? This ahamkara, this I and mind and all doesn't have, this I and mind doesn't have a permanent existence. It is like the pain. There was a time where it wasn't there. There is a time where it will not be, but it exists in between. But when it exists in between, there is a solidity to it. It's not like ghost like thin air மாதிரிலாம் கிடையாது. It's not அப்படியே புகை மாதிரி ஏதோ இருக்கிற மாதிரிலாம் கிடையாது. It is real. That's what is empirical reality is all about. It's a technical word. சரியா? Is it okay, Narayanji? Yeah. Now, the ideals are understood. Limited ideal to the absolute ideal. If I have now, the assumption is we are working for the absolute ideal. If we are working for the absolute ideal, I need to remember the divine at all times. Remember the divine at all times means remember the divine in and through all activities. That's what remembering the divine means. Now, I can't have a specific activity for remembering the divine. See, the specific activity for remembering the divine, and when I am chanting for 45 minutes, I remember God. That is a specific activity remembering the divine. Now, that will not help you in that absolute ideal. For what you do, you undo during the rest of the, by what you do by one activity, you undo through the other activities. Nor can you keep chanting 24 hours. Nor can you keep singing 24 hours. Nor can you keep dancing 24 hours. What do you need to do? Here in 12 yajnas, what they have done is, now 12 yajnas nu solla kudadhu, inime 10 yajnas nu sollanum. Ena first rendu we have covered. In the 10 yajna, what he has done in this 10 yajna is how your activities are happening. In and through the activities that you are doing, how to remember the divine. Now the discussion moves on to the life, the activity. The life and the activity. Goal is fixed. Now the activity starts. What is the activity? The three transactions: receipt, reaction, response is the activity of life. So when you are receiving stimuli, you should be able to remember the divine. When you are reacting to the stimuli, you should be able to remember the divine. When you respond back, you should be able to remember the divine. If you are able to remember the divine in and through your receipt, reaction, response, you are remembering the divine all the time. Not through a specific activity. Not through sitting and doing Haman only. It's symbolic. That's why we have said it as symbolic. So, what are the activities? Receipt, reaction, response. When receipt, reaction, response is happening, in and through this receipt, reaction, response, how do I remember the divine? He is giving steps for that. Now starts the actual yajna portion. Beautiful is this 10 yajna. Beautiful is this segregation. How to remember the divine in and through the receipt, reaction, and response. So he segregates the receipt portion and talks separately. He segregates the reaction portion and talks separately. He segregates the response portion and talks separately and connects everything. Even though he is talking about it separately, it is not separate. It's all interconnected. But for understanding purposes, we talk as though they are separate. Now, having capacity to perform sacrifice itself in the height, suddenly the discussion takes a different tangent. From that height, the discussion takes a different tangent. Sorry, Bharat, I didn't see your clarification. Can you explain creation emerged along with yajna? When you explain creation, emerged along with yajna. Now, creation means birth. The birth of you, the individual. At the time of birth itself, the capacity to perform sacrifice is given. What is capacity to perform sacrifice means? The capacity to perform sacrifice means the ability to, the capacity to let go. What are you letting go? From a different angle, a human being has two tendencies. All other species has only one tendency. Human being alone has two tendencies. What are the two tendencies? The lower and the higher. The para and the apara and para. Kauravas and the Pandavas. That is why in the other species, you can't say a selfish lion, neither can you call it as a sacrificial lion. In creation, the moment the individuality comes in, what comes along with the individuality? The capacity to sacrifice. Now, capacity to sacrifice implies he has two things and he has to let go. What does he have to let go? He has to let go of the lower for the higher. What is lower and what is higher? Indulgence is lower, discipline is higher. Attachment is lower, love is higher. Now all this is there in a human being at birth itself. That is why the human being is so, unique. Now, what is yajna emerged along with, the creation? Creation பண்ணும்போதே யஜ்ஞாவை சேர்ந்து வந்ததுன்னா, what does it mean? Upon creation itself, you have a choice. What is the choice? Theoretically speaking, you have a choice to be like this I or jump back to Brahman. And the choice. When creation happened, you have a choice. What is the choice? Just to theoretically assume this, Bharat. You popped out of Brahman. Theoretically, you popped out of Brahman. When you popped out of Brahman, you have a choice. What is the choice? You can be this I, or you can get back to Brahman. This fundamental. Now, if you have to jump back to Brahman, what do you need to let go of? What do you need to sacrifice? This I. Correct. This I you need to let go, which is what Rajaram asked. Does it mean to let go of the individuality? Does it mean to let go of the individuality? From the angle of the ego, we say let go of the ego. From the standpoint of the reality, we say it is not letting going, it is recognizing. It's not letting going, it's not let go, it is recognition. Recognition means remembrance. Recognizing means remembrance. Remembrance of what?
The self.
The ஐன்றதுக்கு என்ன பேர் கொடுக்கறாங்கிறதான் சேலஞ்ச். இப்போ இந்த ஐக்கு பரத்ங்கிற பேர் கொடுக்கறேன்னா, ஜீவாங்கிற பேர் கொடுக்கறேன்னா, பிரம்மன்னு சொல்றேன். அதான் சேலஞ்ச். Now I need to let go of these two to remember that. So when I'm remembering, what am I letting go? When I'm remembering the divine, by default, what is it that is I'm letting go?
The I.
That wrong association with the I. This capacity you have always, and this capacity you have always is because this capacity is given to you from the beginning. That's why you are having it always. At any point of time, you can go back. If something has to be there always, it has to be there from the beginning, no? This capacity to let go is there from the beginning. That's what he says. Yajna, the creation emerged along with yajna. So creation varumbode in the and the ignorance order, the potential to, I won't say potential, along with ignorance came the ability to, along with ignorance,
Sacrifice.
Along with ignorance came the ability to,
Sacrifice.
along with ignorance came the ability to understand ignorance as ignorance and sacrifice it.
Yeah.
That's what creation emerged along with yajna. Ignorance வரும்போது கூடவே அது ignorance-னு புரிஞ்சுக்கிற கெபாசிட்டி வந்துடுறது. கூடவே வந்துடுறது.
So, just a word play.
Yes.
When you said creation emerged along with yajna, that's book la edhirukku on the page.
Yes, correct.
So we should read it as the capacity to do yajna.
Correct.
Because there's an action that we are doing, the sacrifice or renunciation, for example.
Yes.
It's equivalent to a sacrifice. It's more than sacrifice.
Yes, it's more than sacrifice. Correct. That's where you should read it as the capacity. அதனால தான் explain பண்ணும்போது capacity-னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன். What Bharat is asking is, this creation emerged along with yajna சொல்லும்போது we should understand it as the capacity. That's why I'm saying, yes, we should read it as the capacity. ஒரு புக்னு எழுதும்போது இல்லையா, அவர் ஒரு வாரத்துல எழுதுனதை 4 மணி நேரமா பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம். He's just written one sentence and we have discussed it for 4 hours till now.
Absolutely.
So that is why when we are elaborating, we take some freedom to elaborate. Yeah. That freedom is there in elaboration. To go off the tangent slightly, see, Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on Bhagavad. Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on one Upanishad. Sureshwaracharya wrote a explanation for that commentary. That explanation of commentary is 14,000 verses. Our commentary 400 verses na, the explanation went into 14,000 verses because the freedom to elaborate. So that is why we need to understand it as the creation emerged along with yajna, the capacity.
Capacity to. Yeah.
Yes, the capacity. That's why from the beginning, I'm insisting on this word, capacity.
Capacity.
Yeah. Is it okay, Bharat?
Yeah. That is clarity. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, correct. Having fixed the ideal, what is actual yajna means? Actual yajna is the, இப்போ இது வரைக்கும் நல்லா இருந்தது கேட்கறதுக்கு, இது சொன்ன உடனே முடிச்சிடலாம் சார், இன்னையோட 12 yajnas we have understood, because it is impossible. Receipt, reaction, response மூணும் பண்ணும் போதும் we cannot remember divine எல்லாம். How to do that is what this 12 yajnas, this 10 yajnas is all about. Now what is this yajna now? Now we are talking about from the capacity, from the potential, we have moved on to the actual doing. In relation to the actual doing, what is it? Life equals activity. Life equals activity. The insignia of life is action. Now, what is action means? Three continuous process is what action is all about. The three continuous process of receipt, reaction, response. Receipt, reaction, response is what action is all about. Receipt is one type of action. Reaction is another type of action. Response is another type of action. Idella detailed analysis. But all these three combined in a very general way also can be called as action. Even though in the later stage we will see receipt is one type of action, reaction is different type, response is different type. But all can be combined and it can be called as action. Now, what is this action? Receipt, reaction, and response. Of the three, it starts with the receipt. Of the three, it starts with the receipt. Therefore, the third yajna talks about perception. The third yajna starts with perception. And this kaile vechukkongo. And every day keep the cycle of yajna. It becomes easy. Therefore, the third yajna is perception. The third yajna is perception. What is perception? Verse number 26. Others offer hearing and other senses as sacrifice into the fires of restraint. Others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fires of the senses. Verse number 26, two yajna he covers. Yajna number 3 and yajna number 4. This verse specifies yajna number 3 and yajna number 4. Shrotradini indriyani samyamagnishu juhvati. One yajna. Shabtadin vishayan anye indriyagnishu juhvati. Another yajna. So two yajnas. Shrotradini indriyan anye samyamagnishu juhvati. Shabtadin vishayan anye indriyagnishu juhvati. Two yajnas. Others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fire of senses is yajna number 3. Versala padikumbodhu second sentence is yajna number 3, the first sentence is yajna number 4. We have to read it like that. This is you need to know some little bit of Sanskrit grammar and Mimamsa and all that. And adallam pannada you can follow. So adallam you need not know. Adallam our kathanu potu vechirukkaru. What we need to do? Saptadin vishayan anye indriyagnishu juhvati is yajna number 3. Shrotradin anye samyamagnishu juhvati is yajna number 4. Yajna, the actual ritual, has two portions. What is known as ahuti. The second one is kindling of the fire, the kindling of the flame. One is the ahuti, the other is the fire shooting up. When the fire is shooting up, yajna is complete, because that which is offered is burnt. Are you able to follow? You pour an ahuti, and the fire shoots up. When the fire shoots up, which is what is kindling is all about, what does it imply in that? That which is offered is, because the fire shoots up by digesting it, no? The fire shoots up by digesting it, as it were. Therefore, when the fire is shooting up means that which is offered is consumed. Then only it is yajna. So, from now on he will talk about the ahuti and the kindling. The ahuti and the kindling. Yajna number 3 la the ahuti and kindling vara arambichu. So, yajna number 3 la ahuti enna? Sound and other sense objects is the ahuti. Sound and other sense objects is the ahuti. What is kindled? Others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fires of the senses. In the fires of the senses. So, sense objects enter into the sense objects enter into the sense organs, and there the sense objects die, as it were, in you, and the perception is kindled. What is the perception? The perception of I hear, I see, I smell, I taste, all that is kindled. Are you able to follow? Sound enters. As I am talking, it's an yajna going on. As I am talking, the yajna going on. What is the yajna? The sound enters you, as it were. When does it conclude? What is the sound is entering you? What is the end point of the sound entering you? I heard you. So, when you say, I heard you, the sound, as it were, is dead. Perception is kindled. This is one yajna, he says. This is one yajna. And this yajna is happening. And this yajna is happening all the time. I'll explain all that tomorrow. Yajna number 3 and 4 we will explain. Naliki I will not go into yajna number 1 and 2. Straight away I'll start with yajna 3 and 4. Not tomorrow, whenever we start, whenever we continue with the yajna portion. Having heard the sound, yajna number 4. What is yajna number 4? Others offer hearing. For sound ulla poi, said I heard. Now, what becomes the ahuti for the next cycle? What is the next one? What do you have as previously? The sound was the ahuti, hearing was the kindling. Now in the 4th yajna, what is the ahuti? What you heard is the ahuti. What you heard is the ahuti, and what is kindled into the fires of restraint. Samyam. Samyam agnishu jihvati. What is kindled there? The fires of restraint is kindled. So, 2 yajnas. What are the 2 yajnas? One is the sense perception. Another is in the 3rd yajna, individual senses. In the 4th yajna, all combined. Even though, for example, he's just using hearing as one example. What you need to understand is all senses put together. Hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, all put together. Others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fires of the senses. So, sound enters you, what is kindled? The hearing is kindled. Meaning sense perception is kindled. Now, when the sense perception happens, now connect it to Kenopanishad. When the sense perception happens, why he uses the word Shrotram is because Shrotrasya Shrotram. It is a reference to that. That is why he takes that example. Because Kenopanishad already established ayat. Kenopanishad already established ayat. Yeah. That is why in the cycle of the 3-year course, in the 4th chapter we will do Kenopanishad. Because why that Shrotram? See, all along they always see that. They will never use the word sound. They will use the word seeing as the perception. But here he says Shrotrani, Shrotram. Shrotrasya, Shrotram. Shrotrasya, Shrotram. It is a direct reference to the Upanishadic knowledge. As I said, see the pramanam for the Gita is another pramanam which is Upanishad. For the Upanishad, what is the pramanam? Upanishad itself is the pramanam. I would say Bhagavad Gita is the pramanam. When you go to Bhagavad Gita says Upanishad is the pramanam. What is pramanam for the Upanishad? Upanishad itself is the pramanam. That is the typical Vedantic way of studying a scripture. It's a pramanam. What is that? Why he uses the word Shrotram? Because as discussed in Kenopanishad, as seen in Kenopanishad, what is it? The sound. So when you are hearing, you have a choice. What is the choice? What is the choice when you hear? You can get carried away by what you hear, or you can remember what is it that is making you to hear. So as you are hearing, one part of you should remember what makes you to hear. Then you are performing first yajna, moonavathu yajna you are doing. It's not that you say, no, I will not listen to what I heard, I only remember Brahmanradhu kedayadu. As you are doing this, one part of you remembers that also. That is what that's what the third yajna is. Others offer sound and other sense objects as sacrifice in the fires of the senses. Okay. Now that has become the ahuti. Here in yajnas, there is no external ahuti. Everything that happens in you is the ahuti. This is another important understanding you need to have. Typically in the ritual, we have ahuti as something, the ghee and the grains and all that. No. In the 12 yajnas, in the way that he is describing yajnas, the ahuti has to be taken from you only. Sound vellendu varudhu. But when you hear, you don't get completely carried away by what you hear. As you are hearing, simultaneously you remember that factor that helps you to hear also. But sir, அது எப்படி ரெண்டுத்தை சேர்த்து பண்ண முடியும்? Either I can focus on that which helps me to hear, or I get carried away by what I heard. How can I do both? By practice, you can do both. Example, Swamiji's classic example, Shruti in Carnatic music. You can do both. As you are going through the thing, the Shruti at the background. The fourth yajna is that which the perception becomes the ahuti. In that perception, after the perception is registered, you can indulge or you can practice restraint. You can indulge or you can practice restraint. Now you are alert not to indulge but to practice restraint. Cyclically இவ்வளவு சொல்றாரு அப்படின்னாக்கா ஒண்ணுத்துல விட்டு அடுத்ததுல புடிச்சுக்கலாம். If you miss Brahman in one, you can catch Brahman in something else. So எல்லாத்துலயும் பிரம்மனை விட்டுறவங்க சார்னா little bit of effort you can catch him in one. That's why it becomes practical. That's where it becomes practical. Others implies if you have missed there, you can catch it here. If you are able to do in everything, you have reached a very high level. Sometimes you will not be able to do in everything. You can do it in some, but still it has to be, even if you remember in one, that is also yajna only. That also he calls it as yajna only. Therefore, yajna number 3 and 4, which I will explain. There's a little bit more to explain in this, which I will take up in the next session. For today, we have entered into this, the yajna number 3 and yajna number 4. Yajna number 3 is yajna of sense perceptions. Yajna number 4 is yajna of self-restraint. So yajna number 3 is perception. Yajna number 4 is restraint. Seriya? We'll, with this I conclude for today. We'll continue in the next session.